Good morning, world, and welcome to the Patriot Party show. I'm Matt, and I'm so happy to be here, starting off the weekend with all y'all guys and gals. We have an exciting episode for y'all today. A lot has happened this week. Also, tons of celebrity gossip, sports, new movies, TV shows. Then, to top it all off, my pick of the week movie. At the Patriot Party, we're an all-immersive, conservative, America First movement that's not affiliated with any political party, providing entertainment news and updates done like never before to get you caught up on everything in one place. If you enjoy the content, we ask that you please follow and share the channel. In the description of the video, we have also included links to our X, the Patriot Party, Facebook, the Patriot Party, YouTube, America First Patriot, and TikTok, America First Patriot. We had to reinvent ourselves because of censorship on those two platforms. On Apple Podcasts, these links are clickable, but on other platforms, and it seemed on Spotify they had become clickable, but on other platforms they are jumbled up, so we included page names for your convenience. We would encourage you to visit our pages and check out the content. I encourage you to submit questions, comments, or even topic suggestions on Spotify, or just DM me on our X page. The link is in the description, or you can go to X and type in the Patriot Party. Thank you so much for your support, because without y'all, we wouldn't be here. And now to the show. By the way, I didn't say it, but I hope everyone had a great week. It's been somewhat of a roller coaster this week. So the first story we're going to go into, and this is, I quote, "I'm not looking for a deal. Trump revives the global trade war." The president vowed to hit the European Union and phone manufacturers with new tariffs. President Donald Trump moves to reignite his global trade war, laid bare the administration's bubbling frustration with resistance from both corporations and foreign countries unwilling to rapidly bow to the U.S. demands. Demands like trying to control foreign companies with threats. I don't even know if I think I talked about it on my live. I don't think I talked about it last week because I don't think it had come out. But let me give you a scenario. And I just want for a minute open minds and to put yourself into someone else's shoes. So we know that he told Apple, which is a U.S.-based company, that if you don't start making your phones in the U.S., we're going to charge you a 25% tariff. Now, personally, I don't like it when the government starts to threaten private companies, privately held companies, and give them ultimatums. But okay, they're a U.S. company. But then he goes further, and he says to Samsung, which is a South Korean company, if you don't start making your phones in the U.S., I'm going to tariff you so much that you won't be able to sell them here. Now, let me give you an example on the flip side of that. Can you imagine if China told a U.S. company, if you don't start making your stuff over here and build companies, we're going to tariff you so high that you can't sell in our country? Do you think Trump or any president would take that line down? I mean, I don't think any other president would be doing this, but do you think any president would take that if China told U.S. companies, you can't threaten foreign companies? I mean, it's bad enough you threaten U.S. companies, but now you're threatening foreign companies? Put the shoe on the other foot. This next story really surprised me when it hit the feed. So Tucker Carlson, now we all know that he was in the running to be Trump's VP. He said, I don't want to do it. I want to stay in the media. I just want to stay out, my lane. I enjoy this. But how many UFC events, maybe I think even sporting events, did we see Tucker, Kid Rock, right on the side of, walking in with Trump, sitting beside him, everything? That's why this next story is, it really hits hard. So Tucker Carlson on his podcast, he has a guest named Sean Ryan, who in his own right is a big influencer. He's also an ex-Navy SEAL. Now, they expressed concern about the Trump organization's recent business deals in the Middle East, describing them as appearing, now this is in quotations for Tucker and Sean Ryan, like corruption. Now, this stems from the timing of these deals. New Trump-branded projects, like Trump Towers, things like that, are going up in Dubai, Jeddah, Doha, and Oman, coinciding with President Trump's Middle East trip, and major trade agreements with Gulf states like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Many critics, but this is including Carlson, point to the overlap of Trump's business interest and his administration's diplomatic efforts, such as a true $2 trillion deal and a controversial $400 million jet, which was a gift from Qatar, who could arguably be known as a terrorist state. Now, this raises ethical red flags. Some, like Senator Chris Murphy, have called this the definition of corruption, citing potential violations of the Constitution emoluments clause. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the Constitution emoluments clause. The purpose, this clause prohibits federal office holders, including the president, from accepting money, gifts, or titles from foreign governments without congressional approval. It aims to prevent foreign influence over U.S. officials. It's like the jet. It was given as a gift. Well, instead of giving it to the country and letting them do the military, whatever they want to do with it, Trump's trying to turn it into Air Force One when he's already got the government already has a contract with Boeing for 2 new Air Force Ones that would actually, looks like, be less expensive per jet than turning this gift into Air Force One, which a lot of people are worried about because of espionage. I mean, who's to say a chip that looks like a regular chip that the Chinese may have paid to have put on there, or whoever? There's not things in the jet like that would go unnoticed. The jet should not, coming from a terrorist state, or could arguably be a terrorist state, be used as Air Force One for security reasons, for national security reasons. We're going to point out a funny national, what Trump is calling national security, but yet this isn't national security. So Trump lashes out at Putin after Russia's massive drone and missile attacks on Ukraine. Russian forces launched an overnight barrage on Ukrainian cities, including the capital, Kyiv. Trump later said Russia's Putin, now this is in quotations, has gone absolutely crazy, and it will lead to the downfall of Russia. Now, they used to be buddies. So that's a big statement, the downfall of Russia. But what I'd like everybody to remember, because I haven't seen it run anywhere else in the news, is Russia, China, and North Korea have all signed their own adversarial NATO agreement that says if you mess with one, you mess with all. I really, after Trump has made enemies out of our allies over these tariffs, I would really hate to see the U.S. go against all three. I think we would have a big problem. A big problem. Now, CNN's token Republican pundit, Scott Jennings, had a hard time defending President Donald Trump's South African genocide talk when he was confronted with the facts. You all know how I am with names, so I'm sure I'm going to butcher this one, but Ramaphosa, who is the president of South Africa, and his delegates thought they were coming for a meeting about a reset in relations between the two nations. Instead, South Africa's most famous white man, Elon Musk, watched on as Trump went on a rant about the genocide allegedly being committed against white farmers in the country. This is straight out of the conspiracy. Now, this is in quotations. So this is what, CNN is saying. Now, you all know I'm not going to take CNN's word. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to research. I'm going to fact find. I'm going to fact check the fact checkers. And when I go deep, I go deep. I mean, I use multiple AIs, some considered built by left-leaning companies, some considered built by right-leaning companies. I use Google. I use everything. I'm scrubbing the web. I'm finding out, are there any discrepancies between the two? Are they all going together? And if they all go together, and I don't have to dig any deeper, it's usually true. So this is straight, now this is in quotations, this is straight out of the conspiracy land of the far right. And it is not based in facts. Phillips said on her show of the MAGA genocide claim, it's amazing that this has actually become the foreign policy of the United States. Basically, she's saying conspiracy theories of the far right, I mean, that would be QAnon and all these other people, have become foreign policies of the United States. We have the numbers is completely unsubstantiated. Now, the Republican pundit couldn't defend Trump's actions once he saw the proof. But like I said, I dove into it. So let me give you what I found when I dug into it. Everything I found says there is no credible evidence to support President Donald Trump's claims of a genocide against the white farmers in South Africa. Multiple sources, including South African officials, independent investigators, and fact-checking organizations, have debunked this narrative as false or misleading. Now, I wanted to know more, so here's the breakdown of the key points. Crime statistics. Now, we know South Africa has a high crime rate overall, including violent crimes like farm murders. However, police data shows no evidence of a targeted genocide against white farmers. For example, in the first 3 months of 2025, South African Police Minister Senzo Mukunu reported 6 farm murders, with 5 being black and 1 being white. In the last 3 months of 2024, 12 people were murdered on farms, including 1 white farmer and 11 black laborers or security workers. These figures indicate that farm attacks affect both racial groups and are not exclusively or disproportionately targeting white farmers. Misrepresented evidence. Trump presented a video May 21st of 2025 during this meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, claiming it showed burial sites for over 1,000 white farmers. This video featuring white crosses along a road was actually from a 2020 protest near Newcastle, South Africa, symbolizing both white and black farmers and farm workers killed over decades. Not a mass grave. Additionally, Trump showed a screenshot from Reuters footage taken in the Democratic Republic of Congo, falsely claiming it depicted South African victims. Now, here is, a really big nail in the coffin for what Trump's saying. The African near farmers, the white farmers' response, even the conservative white African near farmers, have rejected the genocide claim. At the Nampo Agriculture Fair in Bothaville, South Africa, on May 15th, 2025, Afrikaner groups denied Trump assertions of systematic persecution or land seizures. Now think about that. These people, the 50 or 60 or whatever that came from South Africa, are getting fast-tracked to U.S. citizenship. If this was happening across the board, don't you think all these farmers would be just fleeing the country for fast-track to U.S. citizenship? I do. I think they would all be fleeing the country. The historical context and land reform. Trump's claim often tie to allegations of government-led land expropriation targeting white farmers, while South Africa passed a law in 2025 allowing land seizures without compensation in certain cases. No land has been seized under this act. According to the government, land distribution, it does remain very unequal with, South Africans, white South Africans owning 72% of agricultural land, while black South Africans only own around 4%. But there's no evidence of a state-sanctioned campaign against white farmers. Now, this is coming from people on the ground. This is coming from multiple sources. This is even coming from the white conservative farmers, the Afrikaneers. But yet they were put, and we talked about this last week, and I really got kind of emotional about it because of what had happened to all the families that we promised in Afghanistan that worked side by side, the U.S. military, for 20 years, and we did not uphold our agreement, and they were butchered. And there was only 3% that got to America. And now Trump's taking them back. Like he is thinking, like he's going to send them back. And he says, the Taliban won't mess with them. At the same time, he's fast-tracking these white Afrikaneers into the United States for fast-track citizenship, who, it has been debunked, should even be getting here over that, because it's not happening. The next piece of news, I know a lot of it's Trump, but God, he stays in the news. Trump is going after Harvard hard. So he blocked Harvard from being able to get foreign exchange students. Now, not only did he do that, but he told all the exchange students, which were a quarter of Harvard's classmen, that they had to get out of Harvard or their visas would be revoked and they'd be sent back to their country. Now, like I said last week, all right, whatever, you're going to tell them. It was really Kristi Noem that did this, but she did it under Trump's direction. But what this is doing is this barring of international students from enrolling in Harvard. It's going to benefit the U.S. competitors such as China, because some of the smartest people from around the world, instead of coming to the U.S. and helping with research, which is what Harvard gets funded by the government for, which is what all the funding's been cut off. Now they'll go to other countries, and I'm sure China will welcome them with open arms, the same way they handled Afghanistan and got access to the rare mineral mines that were right under our noses while we spent $1 trillion in that country. But a judge has halted Trump's plan to stop Harvard from enrolling foreign students. Again, Trump comes out with this crazy off-the-wall stuff. He probably didn't let his legal counsels look over it, the Office of Legal Counsel, or the White House counsel probably didn't let them look over it, listen to his loyalists, sends out something that has plenty, that is basically a sinking ship because it has plenty of holes in it, legal holes for the judges to latch onto. But yet, it is the fault of all the liberal judges. Yes, most of the judges that are stopping these things are liberal judges. But if they were bulletproof, they wouldn't be stopping them. Now, there's a lot of things that I'm glad they're stopping. Elon Musk. So first, we have Tucker Carlson distancing himself. And if you notice, Vivek Ramaswamy, who is my personal favorite, super smart, genius level. Even Candace Owens said she traveled around, did the town halls with him, watched him do the town halls, and said he is a level above every candidate when it comes to the way he articulates thought. So first you have, Ramaswamy's distanced himself. He's going to, I think, run for governor of Ohio. Tucker Carlson has said it looks like Trump's involved in corruption. Now Elon Musk. First he comes out and he says, I am disappointed by the price tag of the domestic policy bill passed by Republicans in the House. Last week, and heavily backed by President Trump, the billionaire who recently stepped back from running the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, made the remark during an exclusive broadcast interview with CBS Sunday morning. I was disappointed to see the massive spending bill. Frankly, this increase in the budget and deficit not just decreases it, but undermines the work that the DOGE team is doing. So you are spending more money than I can save. So you are undermining what we went in to do to start with. Shrink government, make, save money. They had even floated the idea when we hit $2 trillion, we're going to give a $5,000 basically stipend or kickback to show to the American people paying taxes to show that we're working for them. Well, that's all out the door. And Elon is not happy about that. He's not. And the thing is, well, we'll get into it in a minute. I'm not even going to get ahead of myself. So then Trump pledges no tax on Social Security. The tax bill says otherwise. House bills propose a $4,000 senior deduction, which falls short of eliminating taxes on Social Security benefits altogether. Here's the thing, though. Here is the thing that most people don't understand. It's just the same. It's the same with the no tax on tips and the no tax on overtime. This is a selling method to the middle class, but the $4,000 Social Security tax for seniors ages 65 and older on the one big beautiful bill, in quotations, is temporary and expires in 2028, aligning with the expiration of the no tax provision on tips and overtime. So it's like, but the tax cuts for the super rich, they're permanent. And we're going into debt. We're paying tax dollars over the next decade. And the bill has got a broad span of what it can cost. And it's going to take money from Social Security, not Social Security, but not just Medicaid and SNAP, but Medicare, which is what we pay in on. So we're not going to get what we pay for because it's cutting in over $500 billion over the course of the years. But we're going to have to pay and get in further debt, which we can't afford. We're going to have to pay for the rich to get tax cuts. I have said many times about this daggum bill, if you really, really want to stimulate the economy, you will make this bill, one, the child tax credit is a bigger tax credit, is permanent. Two, the things that expire won't expire. And three, the tax cuts that are going to the wealthy and the big businesses will go to the small and the mid-sized businesses, the backbone of the U.S. So a federal court on Wednesday ruled that President Donald Trump overstepped his authority to impose sweeping tariffs that have raised the cost of imports for everyone from giant businesses to everyday Americans. A three-panel judge on the U.S. Court of International Trade, a relatively low-profile court in Manhattan, stopped Trump's global tariffs that he imposed, citing emergency economic powers, including the Liberation Day tariffs he announced on April 2nd. It also prevents Trump from enforcing his tariffs placed earlier this year against China, Mexico, and Canada, designed somehow to combat fentanyl. I don't know how that works exactly. I think a threat could have worked just as good. I don't know how that works. Now that you put the tariffs on them, do they really even have a reason to try to help with that? The court ruled in favor of a permanent injunction because it's supposed to be congressional. It's supposed to be left to the legislative branch. Tariffs. The court ruled in favor of a permanent injunction, putting a grinding halt to Trump's global tariffs, with most other trading partners having no deal reached. The court ordered a window of 10 calendar days for administrative orders to effectuate the permanent injunction. Now, the only thing that they did not rule was that, it does not affect the 25% tariff on autos, auto parts, aluminum, or steel, which were subject to Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Agreement, a different law. But then, so this happens on Wednesday. This happens on Wednesday. On Thursday, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit said it was pausing Wednesday's decision from the Court of International Trade until it can hear further legal arguments. The order, known as an administrative stay, which basically shelves it, wasn't a ruling on the merits of the litigation, as administrative stays are common in emergency appeals. The Federal Circuit, an immediate appeals court in Washington, D.C., asked a group of companies that challenged the tariffs to file a written brief before June 5th, laying out their arguments. The court instructed the Justice Department to reply to that brief by June 9th. Now, the Attorney General and the DOJ are trying to push it into the Supreme Court. Like within the next week. Apparently they can do stuff like that. We'll wait to see. I just don't see how they can rule that what he's using bypasses the Legislative Act, but over fentanyl, but he's doing it to the whole world. Maybe China. Maybe Mexico. I don't think a lot comes in through Canada. But the whole world? The U.S. plans to start aggressively revoking visas for Chinese students. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said escalating the Trump administration's push for greater scrutiny of foreigners attending American universities. Rubio said in a statement that students affected would include those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. The U.S. will also enhance scrutiny of all future visa applications from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong, he added. China had the second most students in the U.S. of any country in 2024, behind India. China's foreign ministry didn't immediately reply to a request for comment made outside working hours. I can see both sides on this. I really can. I can see both sides. There's a lot of espionage going on. And even though there's some very smart people in China, I don't know if we should be letting them in. I don't know. I don't know if that violates something because, if something affects one group of people, then it does fall under constitutional violations. Harvard's already brought that to light, so I don't know how this will stand up. I'm sure it'll be challenged in court like everything else is. Never seen an administration with so much stuff in court. So what I wanted to say earlier, I'm not going to get into. First, Elon makes a comment that Trump's bill is basically going in reverse of Doge. Then the next day, Elon says, I'm leaving the Trump administration. His departure was quick and unceremonious. He did not have a formal conversation with Trump before announcing his exit, according to a source with knowledge of the matter, who added that his departure was decided at a senior staff level. While the precise circumstances of his exit were not immediately clear, he leaves a day after criticizing the Trump's marquee tax bill, calling it too expensive and a measure that would undermine the work of the U.S. Doge service, like we said. Now, Elon has probably lost more money because of backing the Trump administration, loss of customers, attacks, firebombs, all that stuff, drop in stock because of tariffs, because of, being attacked. I think he lost at one point, and he was pegged to be the first trillionaire in the next 3 to 4 years. I don't think that'll happen now. I think he lost at one point $160 billion of his wealth. Now, think about that for a minute. That is as much or more than the richest person in the world under Elon, before Elon came along. That is a lot of money. I think he finally sees that this is a house of cards and it's gonna come tumbling down. And it's so sad because I had such high hopes when I was backing Trump on every social media platform, arguing with people. I even campaigned for him and helped him come up with a campaign strategy that I got to him through Mike Johnson, because Mike Johnson's a representative here. And before Mike Johnson betrayed the Patriots and this country in general with voting as a tiebreaker for the FISA Act for warrantless spying on Americans, when 250 representatives wanted to follow the Constitution and have the law enforcement have to get a warrant to spy on Americans. He voted for warrantless spying like they had been doing. And he's a constitutional lawyer. So he betrayed, to me, Mike Johnson seems like a yes man who's going to flow with whoever's in power. Before Republicans became in power, he was voting with Democrats as much or more than he was with Republicans, and they were talking about ousting him from the House. Now Republicans are in power. He's pushing everything Republican. I don't think, and I hate to say it because he seemed like such a nice guy when we had our conversation, and we went back and forth on emails and traded personal contact information so I could get the strategy to Trump. But I think he's a yes man. Now, we have, and this person has made truth news before. We have some truth news before we get into financial and tech news and all the other stuff that comes with this channel. So, Charlie Kirk Commentary, who is a parody, has 60-some thousand followers, but their stuff, because they're only following they have 60 following, but their followers, the people that they're following, is only like 7. So the algorithm, the X algorithm, views them as an authority. So they push their post out there to hundreds of thousands, even millions of people. So they did one, said, breaking news. Attorney General Pam Bondi is reportedly preparing to charge Alejandro Mayorkas with treason, alleging he initially permitted 20 million undocumented immigrants to enter the U.S. and act claim to undermine America's sovereignty. Everybody, and we've talked about before, wants to say treason. That's the first thing that was a red flag to me. I'm like, I don't think he can be charged with that. So, literally, I look up the claim. First, it doesn't match the immigration data. There wasn't 20 million people that we know of that were let into this country. Second, falling in the scope of treason as defined by the U.S. Constitution. Article 3, Section 3 requires levying war against the U.S. or aiding its enemies with intent. Legal experts argue immigration policy failures, even if severe, rarely meet this threshold, making the charge not not an option. It's not an option. So this is what I say to you all that get your news off the X feed. If you have Grok, if you don't have Grok, download, you can use Google, but you can also download a free AI that does pretty good in coming up. It's pretty good. It's not as in-depth as Grok, but it does come up with the same information pretty much all the time. It's called Copilot. Get Copilot. It's free. But if you do have a subscription, a paid-for subscription, when you click on the post, if you click on the post, there's a little Grok sign up in the right corner. You can click it, and it will automatically fact-check the post and give you the information. That's all I do. That's all I do. So let's get to finance. Trump responded angrily. Oh, no. We don't have finance yet. We have one more. We have one more story with Trump. We have one more story, and then we'll get to financial news. I don't know. I must have misprinted the finance because there's one more story. So Trump responded angrily toward a reporter in the White House on Wednesday after she told him that Wall Street investors are using a new acronym, TACO, to describe the ongoing tariff turmoil caused by Trump. The acronym stands for Trump Always Chickens Out and was reportedly coined by a Financial Times columnist to describe the market swing as a result of Trump's flip-flopping tariff policy. You all who are holding on to this hope, to this idea, to this belief that is entrenched with false information if you go, and even fake news, if you go and you actually look it up, that Trump is going to somehow change our manufacturing. Now, I'm not saying we won't get a few new manufacturers, but it won't be worth the cost to America. And I told you before where he's put up where if you're a new company and you come into this country, you get no tariffs. But the old companies that have been with you to start with, who are U.S.-based companies, they still have to pay tariffs. And that never sat well with me. Trump also, I think we talked about, but if we didn't, had it out with a NBC reporter who asked about the Qatar jet. And if the thing is if reporters don't ask the questions he wants them to ask so he can talk about what he wants to talk about so it makes him look good, which is manipulation and propaganda, because you have to answer the hard questions as well as the questions you want to answer. He will go off on the reporters like he did this one and tell them, you're not very smart. You're not even smart enough to be a reporter. You need to leave here and go back to NBC because NBC is an awful channel. Now, I'm not saying that NBC is great or anything. I do have a very strong feeling against the legacy liberal media, but that same feeling has risen against the right media too, since I've seen them putting out so many stories with a false narrative. Everybody's got an agenda. I don't have an agenda. I don't make anything I am not at a level to make anything to bring you this news every week. It'd be great if I can get there. It'd be great if y'all support me and you help me get enough support to get there so I can actually pay for my time of doing all this research and stuff. But I bring it to you because you deserve it, because you deserve the truth. Now, whether you want to listen to it, whether you don't want to listen to it, that's fine. Some people would rather hear what they want to hear than hear what they need to hear. Let's go into financial news. Emergency savings key to financial well-being. A new study from Vanguard found that having at least $2,000 in emergency savings is a top predictor of financial well-being, even more than having $1 million in assets. That is crazy. Choosing the right financial advisor for retirement. Experts emphasize the importance of selecting a fiduciary financial advisor with extensive experience in retirement planning to ensure long-term financial security. Now, I like to do my own research. By no means would I be so arrogant to tell you that I'm going to help you plan financially, but I like to do my own research. I like to plan for myself. I have been thinking about, I'm 45, I've been thinking about retirement since I was like 16 years old. Not 16 years ago, 16 years old. So it's been something on my mind a long time that I work very hard for. Well, will I ever be fully retired? No. Body in motion stays in motion. Same way as I'm going to go to the gym, or I plan on it, unless something crazy happens and I can't, and I hope that doesn't. But I plan on going to the gym for the rest of my life. I went this morning. I love it. I encourage it. It's a great habit to get into. Dave Ramsey calls out Washington. Financial guru Dave Ramsey criticized lawmakers for failing to protect America's money and small businesses, urging Congress to pass legislation that foster economic stability. There are some common financial traps for young adults these days. Many middle-class individuals in their 20s fall into financial pitfalls such as excessive spending, neglecting emergency savings, and failing to plan for retirement. You all that are young and you're out there listening to this, it is important, it is imperative not to live above your means, because you never know if you're going to lose your job. And when you live above your means, you're living hand to mouth, which is what I call it. And a lot of times you're rating Peter to pay Paul. And it's not a comfortable way of living. There's people that live in $500,000 houses that if they lived in a $130,000 house, and there's some decent $130,000 houses out there. Trust me, I live in one. It's a brick house, and I love it. We got a beautiful big backyard, and we have friends who don't make as much money as me and my soon-to-be wife, and they hand to mouth to live in a $400,000 or $500,000 house. When their children grow up, it's going to be too much house for them, and upkeep on that house is crazy. It's best to do things by numbers and percentages because they don't lie. Tech news. Chip stocks surge. Major tech and chip maker stocks, including Nvidia, Apple, and Amazon, saw significant gains after a U.S. court ruled against Trump-era tariffs, where the motion to stay until June 5th. And then there was a little bit of a hiccup and a drop when the Court of Appeals put a stay on that. AI advancements. Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, and Microsoft made major AI announcements, including new models, AI-powered assistants, and advancements in video generation. Google I/O 25. Google unveiled AI-driven features like AI mode in search, which we've talked about, Project Astra, an AI assistant, and Android XR glasses with real-time translation. Uber Freight bets on AI. Uber Freight launched AI-driven logistics tools to streamline supply chain operations and improve efficiency. Now, I'd like to take this little piece right here and talk about something. So Trump's giving all these big tax cuts to these companies who already can write off everything. Everything. You know how many write-offs I had? And I didn't even have a big company. Everything they can write off. But he gives them these big tax cuts, thinking that it's going to effectuate more hiring, better pay. It didn't do it in 2017. There was a small growth of 2% and wages were stagnant. These people are greedy. And I called it, and here it is, Uber's doing it. I said, if you give these people all these breaks and this money, they will use it. Now we have AI, and they will actually end up not hiring as many people and maybe getting rid of some of the people they hire for the lesser expensive of AI running what maybe 100, it took 100 people or more to run, and you only got 1 or 2 or 3 people that help run the AI. So it's cheaper for the company. So you are literally fostering something that could take us backwards from what you are promising. Same way we got promised the countries are going to pay the tariffs. China is going to pay the tariffs. No. U.S. companies, consumers pay tariffs. I, as a company, have to pay tariffs. And as a consumer and a private citizen, I had to pay tariffs the other day. I talked to a friend who, and we're talking, a lot in tariffs because I was buying an expensive wedding dress and got charged a 25% tariff. A custom wedding dress for my wedding. I had a friend the other day who said, man, he went to get new tires for his truck, and they said, man, if you'd come last week, you would have saved $700. We got to charge you $700 more because of the tariffs. All right, celebrity and gossip news. Travis Kelce sparks debate. Shirtless photos of NFL star Travis Kelce ignited an online debate over his body hair, with fans divided on whether they prefer the look or not. I know, boy, what a change in direction. We're talking about something so serious to somebody's freaking body hair. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's public silence. Fans speculate about trouble in paradise. After Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce kept a low profile for nearly 2 months, skipping major events like the 2025 Met Gala. However, a relationship expert suggests this could be a sign of growth rather than trouble. Todd and Julie Chrisley, you remember the Chrisley show, were pardoned by Trump. Former reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley were granted pardons by Donald Trump, sparking reactions from their daughter, Savannah Chrisley, Now, he pardoned a lot of people, I think 26. Gangsters. He pardoned one. Larry Hoover, I think is his name, who was in for multiple life sentences for murders. Now, from what I understand and what I've read, this was a senseless pardon. Apparently, though, the guy had gotten a lot of support behind him when he was in trouble or whatever. But this is a senseless commutation of sentence or pardon or whatever, because now he goes to Illinois where he faces a 200-year sentence for a murder there. So he won't see freedom. He won't. Let's get to sports. The MLB invests in women's sports. Major League Baseball announced its first major investment in women's professional sports and the launch of Athletes Unlimited Softball League. The league kicks off on June 7th, featuring 4 teams and a 24-game season. Bryce Harper injury update. Philadelphia Phillies star Bryce Harper suffered a scare after being hit by a pitch on his left elbow. Fortunately, swelling has gone down, and he may return for Game 2 of the team's doubleheader against the Atlanta Braves. NBA playoffs drama. The Oklahoma City Thunder are on the brink of the NBA Finals after taking a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks staged a stunning 20-point comeback against the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. French Open surprises. American tennis star Taylor Fritz suffered a shocking first-round defeat in the French Open, while Rafael Nadal received an emotional farewell at the tournament. Indy 500 victory. Alex Palou won the Indianapolis 500, while Kyle Larson's attempt at completing the double ended after a wreck. Now let's get into some sports. Or no, excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with me. Y'all excuse me. Movies. Let's get into some movies. What I was looking at. Anyway, so Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. Tom Cruise returns as Ethan Hunt in the thrilling conclusion to the Mission Impossible saga, packed with high-stakes espionage and jaw-dropping stunts. The Accountant 2, Ben Affleck reprises his role as Christian Wolf, a math genius turned lethal accountant, as he uncovers a dangerous conspiracy while reconnecting with his estranged brother. I'm pretty sure the other day I watched one, and it was really good. Until Dawn, a horror film based on the popular video game where a group of friends get trapped in a terrifying time loop, forced to relive their worst nightmares until they find a way to escape. The Minecraft movie, a live-action adaptation to the beloved video game featuring an adventurous journey through the pixelated world of Minecraft. Now, I'm doing something that I have not done before. I am making a new movie, my pick of the week. So we won't have a pick of the week at the end of the show. My pick of the week is right here. Went to see it with my family the other day and absolutely loved it. Thought it had a completely different spin than this series normally has. It's Final Destination Bloodlines, the latest installment in the Final Destination franchise. There was a new group of characters, but it had some of the old character too. Now, I will tell you, this is just coming from me personally. So, I would wait until it streams and get it then. Let me tell you, I haven't been to the movies in a while. And I didn't realize how expensive it was. Let me give you my experience. So, there was three of us. My daughter, soon-to-be wife, me. And apparently this movie was shot to be seen in the IMAX. So we got 3 IMAX tickets. Then we go in and we get a family pack. Now I'm on the keto right now trying to shred up for the summer. But they got 2 drinks, a popcorn, and a little teeny thing of candy each. I got an unsweetened tea, a bottled unsweetened tea. So we got 3 IMAX tickets, a family pack, and an unsweetened tea. Do you know how much I paid for that? $130 for 3 of us to go see a freaking movie. Let me tell you, that that just blew my mind. Blew my mind. The family pack was $50 for 2 drinks of popcorn and 2 little things of candy. $50. The movie itself was like $80 for 3 tickets to IMAX. I want to see this new Karate Kid that's going to be in theaters only with the original cast. But I tell you what, they have a half price Tuesday on regular films. You can go see them for like $8. That's when I'll be going to see it. I will not spend $130 again to go watch a movie. Nope. I got a nice big 85-inch and a surround sound at home in a theater. I will not be spending that to go again. So let's get into TV shows. The Handmaid's Tale. It's the final season. The award-winning dystopian drama reaches its gripping conclusion as June fights for freedom and justice in Gilead. And just like that, season 3, the Sex and the City sequel returns with Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte navigating life, love, and friendship in their 50s. Department Q, a British police thriller following a sideline detective who reopens cold cases, uncovering shocking truths along the way. The Better Sister, a twisty murder mystery miniseries starring Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks exploring family secrets and betrayal. Adults, a comedy about five 20-somethings stumbling through adulthood in New York City, tackling careers, relationships, and life's chaos. Destination X, a reality series where contestants are dropped in mysterious locations and must piece together clues to figure out where they are. The Second Best Hospital in the Galaxy Season 2, a sci-fi comedy following alien surgeons as they tackle bizarre medical cases across the universe. Like I said earlier, this is normally where I do the pick of the week, but I did that during the movies because I went and saw that movie, Final Destination Bloodlines, and that was my pick of the week. You all, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great week, and come back and see me and listen next week, same time, same place. Y'all guys and gals, be safe out there and have a great day.